Yesterday we talked a little bit about layoffs and the likelihood of what's coming and what we've been dealing with and what is to come. Um, it is January 4th, 2025. It's about 12:30 in the morning, just for a timestamp. I tried to record this in my shop earlier, and I didn't like the way it turned out. So I'm in the house now. Everybody's asleep, and I thought I'd just sit down and go over this. I had gotten some emails inquiring about the union work and how to get started into that. And I remember I had a hard time figuring out some of the union stuff in the beginning when I started off with it too. It's not talked about very much. So where do you start? There's a lot of union companies out there, and good companies that got good reputations. Um, you have to meet a pretty high standard and criteria to even become a union company to be considered um, in that contract. And most big utility outfits won't let you work for them if you're not union because the quality, there's a serious quality separation in that industry, and it's a safety issue a lot of times because I've worked on both sides of it. I've done the non-union and the union side of the electric and the gas, so I can speak from pretty good experience on this. Um, you can pick your union company. You pick them. You you can call. You don't need to walk in the front door and say, "Hey, I'd like to hire for a laboring position or for an operating position." Stay in your lane. If you don't operate, don't go in trying to be an operator. There's other programs to do that, and I'll talk about them a little later on. But most of the time, you're going to sit down across the table from a human being, and you don't have to do things online most of the time. There are some companies that are moving to that, but um, in general, it's got that ability where you can sit down and actually talk to somebody, and he can size you up and you can size him up because you don't want to work for a butthead either, and they are out there. It's not as prevalent in that field, in my field, but so you pick your union company, you sit down with them, you're going to have a base rate that they're going to want to hire you at that the union's going to pay. If you're bringing more skills to the table and you're not starting off and learning, you can negotiate a little bit. Like you can maybe a few dollars here or there extra, or a company truck, gas card. Like all of it's open for negotiation. That's one of the things I appreciated about the union or union companies. And I'm not mentioning any names on this video. So to anyone watching, you know why. So once you're in, they will place you in the correct union you're supposed to be in. You'll have to, we call it buying a book, and it'll be a few $100s to get that book. It's a one-time thing. You only do it once. Um, Not sure what the significance of it is, but you're committed to it at that point. I'll tell you that. Once you start investing your money into it, you want to see a return. So, from that aspect, I mean, I had to bite the bullet and do it, and everybody else did too. Once you start getting them checks, man, you start getting them union checks, and you see the difference in pay rate from what you just came from non-union to now. There's no comparison. Like I said, I've worked both sides of the aisle on this. I've seen companies take advantage of us, non-union side, and I've seen them really put the screws to us on layoffs, and just they always undermine the employees instead of undermining or working with the employees to try to get a good result. Um, Once you're in and you get established and you build a reputation because you move by your name goes out ahead of you. I can move to any union I wanted to right now. Um, and I guarantee you they would have a place for me tomorrow. And I'd be able to negotiate my rate. Um, I'm out of that scene now. I've moved on to bigger things, hopefully, doing my own stuff. And um, but if you're a kid and you're coming out of high school, hear me. Be real cautious about trying to go after a college degree. I had this conversation yesterday. Just I'm a lot further ahead following myself into the union, and I know more guys who are further ahead following that path into the union than the guys who came out of college with debt and then still, and some of them ended up in the union because it was where the money was. And now they got a college degree in debt, but they're in a union. Like, anyway, once you're in, you can navigate to other unions. And they do that a lot. You can negotiate a contract for so many dollars, and then you can um, go back to your employer and say, "Hey, he's offering me this. Can you, come up, meet me somewhere in the middle on this, and I'll stay and work with you." And it's almost a capitalist um, supply and demand setup, which is good for you. When employers are battling for you, you win. Um, it's pretty important in that aspect. Um, Most of the time, the higher end cream of the crop guys end up um, migrating towards the unions, not just because of the check, but because of the opportunities. And it's the correct circle to be in, because that circle can get you to this point, can get you to this point in all of the big circles that you would like to travel in. Um, it's just a really wise move. The benefits are out of this world. The insurance is wonderful. And like I said, I've been on both sides of it, and I've worked several unions, and I'm vested in several unions. So um, I've never had a complaint with the insurance or the benefits on any of them. Matter of fact, I've had cancer in my family and problems, and the insurance has just been immaculate. It's covered it all the way, 100%. Um, Not to say there's not a horror story out there. I'm sure the medical system is a horror story all by itself. So, um, type of pay you expect. So, if you're an operator, when I got out, you were making $40 to $42 an hour. Pretty standard. That's pretty standard pay for an operator. Um, Labor, I think, is it 32? Was it 36? I can't remember. It's in the 30s. Um, and that changes from state to state. Different states have different pay rates that they're going to want to pay you at. I'm trying not to raise my voice too much. I got grandkids and they're sleeping. But apologize if I'm too quiet. But the pay rates can change. And if it's a prevailing wage job, that's going to change the rate a lot. But the real kicker, the thing that really separates the unions from the non union world, is the way they structure overtime. So if you're non-union, you got to hit 40. You got to hit 40 before you're going to see an hour of overtime. That means if you get a rain day anywhere in there, a life event, you're sick one day, family member sick, or holidays, they interfere a lot. Anything that prevents you from getting to that 40-hour check shuts down your overtime. It's not like that in the unions. If I come in on Monday and I work a 12 to 15-hour day, everything past 8 is overtime. I can make all of my overtime for the week that I would like to in that first day of the week and then slide through nice and smooth for the rest of the week. I mean, it depends on what you got going on, but when times are slow, you get a good day of overtime in, you don't need to work no more overtime. You don't even have to break that 40. You get a rain day or whatever, get stuck at the house, no big deal. You've done made your check. That's the difference between union and non-union. The training is next level. I've always been impressed with the level of training that we got, as far as certifications and safety standards and qualifications. You got to have a lot of state qualifications that they're going to teach you and give you as you go. And it's don't let it be daunting to you. I think I could pull a list up I got on the back of this computer right now. It's 70 some qualifications. They pay you to do it. They got a classroom set up most of the time for you to do it on. It's not difficult. Um, and if you mess up, you just retake the test. You just do it till you get it. But again, this is a quality issue, and this is where quality guys tend to gravitate to these jobs. I climbed the corporate ladder in non-union, and I did that for 8 or 9 years. Made it into management, decided I didn't want to be a plant manager, and went off to the utility industry. Ran big heavy equipment and directional drills, and I did all this non-union, and I cut my teeth there, and I learned there, and I'm grateful to some degree for what I did learn, and everybody's got to start somewhere. But if I'd have started right away in the in the union where I should have been, I'd be way further ahead right now. I could have shut this down 5, 8 years ago and had my own business going instead of getting all the way to this point in life to do it. So if your heart's set on the military, now I don't want to step on any toes because that was my choice too. That's where I wanted to go. I wanted to be a Marine Scout sniper. That was my dream. I was 17, and that was all I could think about. Life had other plans, but irregardless of it, I'm very grateful that I didn't go, because as I became an adult and I learned what these wars were about and who was really running things and what they were jabbing into you, experimental, regularly, and getting busted for it, you might want to look into that. And then these guys would come out and they were just dealing with horrific problems. Well, not all, but a lot. A couple of real good buddies of mine dealing with serious problems. Um, yeah, I can't even talk about that. There's some serious issues that's come back from some of these places or what they've done to these men. And the skills that they developed over there, to most employers, don't translate. They don't translate. Now, they're going to lean on leadership skills, of course, which is what they are and what they have, but it doesn't translate to real for the employer. You and I know different, but for the employer, it's not going to translate. And they're going to put me ahead of the line of that person too, which isn't fair, but that's how this is. So if you got your heart set on joining the military and that's what you want to do it. Go do it. If it's what's right for you, go do it. But if this is a financial decision and you're trying to make the right domino fall so that you can end up in the right place in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, you're trying to get the right domino to fall to hit all that correctly. The union's where you need to go. It is. I've got lots of military guys in the union. Talked to lots of them. Lots of them are my friends. I got lots of college degree guys in the union. Talked to lots of them. Lots of them are my friends. All of them say the same thing. They appreciated doing it and having the experience, but it set them back in their financial future. It does. It truly does. Don't take my word for it. Go talk to a couple of them who are in their 30s, 40s, and who've already done their time. Now, if you want to be a career guy, you want to go in and do a career in the one of these branches, that might be the right thing for you. That might be the right thing. That's between only you know that answer. Um, so that's we talked about pay. Oh yeah, the non-union side. I heard that unions were they were just bad. They were all about um, spoiled, rotten guys who get big checks and don't do anything, and um, they go on strike all the time and cause problems. And what was the other one? Oh, there's lots of union dues you got to pay, and you pay so many millions of union dues in your life, and just absurd things I'd heard, and it scared me away from unions when I was young. I really believed all that. Um, it's a load of bunk. It's a load of bunk. Looking back on it, my employers just didn't want me to pull out and leave them with a new guy they had to train and teach how to run that equipment and how to run that radar. And um, yeah, yeah, that's a lot of what it was. It was just bosses that didn't want to pay you what the union was paying you. And speaking of pay, the union sets the pace. Whatever non-unions being paid in a particular industry, that pay scale is set by us in the union. If our pay goes up, especially significantly goes up, which we get our yearly cost of living raise or contract raises, and that that filters down because the non-union employers have to either match us, or I'm sorry, they have to either raise their prices, or they know that their men are going to just gravitate. I can go make $10 more over there, $20 more over there. Yeah. So we push the scale. So getting that extra income in the union, it's not just a bunch of spoiled guys. We're keeping pace with inflation. We're keeping pace, and we're not where we can't even keep pace with it. Nobody can keep pace with this inflation. Nobody. They've ruined this country. They've ruined the currency in this country to the point it's unrecognizable. Um, you'll see hyperinflation take off if we don't do something to curb this inflation. It's another story. Union dues, we talked about that. Um, Set the pay scale. Oh, training. This one's great. And again, this is where I'm sending my boys, the operators, and I think the laborers do too, but specifically the operators because there's so much to it. We have a fund that we, the employees, pay for and fund every year. Um, and it's there for new guys, the next generation ready to come on board, and for them to be able to develop their skills in a safe environment with a coach and somebody showing them how to do things, even directional drilling, which was unheard of. Like that was a, if you, directional drilling used to be the mother of all trades, and now you got a class you can actually go to and sit, which I'm actually going to be offering that same class here in the near future. Um, but you can send the next generation behind you there. They'll pay for your food, they'll pay for your lodging. I think they even give you a few dollars spending money, if I remember right. And you go for a week into that area wherever the training's going on. You get put in a hotel or whatever, and they'll teach you. They'll teach you how to run that equipment, the stuff you ain't never sat in, the things that you didn't think you'd ever get to run or didn't even think about running. You'll get to run it, and you'll get it. And I think they'll even give you a certification. I think. I mean, it don't amount. A guy's, again, a man's reputation in this industry is what goes ahead of him. So if you did okay in that equipment, that piece of paper don't mean nothing, because they're going to be talking out ahead of you and saying, yeah, hey, this kid did really good, or this girl did really good. We got a lot of lady operators now. That's another big thing, which I'm really pretty impressed with, the amount of um, lady operators that are taking over equipment now. That wasn't like that when I first got in. So anyway, I got asked to talk about this union stuff and how to get involved with it. There's a lot of union companies, and I will give you this tip: if it's a utility, it ain't going nowhere. You want a secure position now, like just for instance, there is a, what do you call it, a union cabinet maker. There's a union cabinet making place. I forget the name of it. I'm sure they're a great bunch of guys, and I'm sure might be a good union. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But cabinets can go somewhere, and that industry can go somewhere. But utilities, I don't see cold fusion sitting on my living room floor yet, running my whole house, or a Tesla coil. Uh, we're still running off power, gas. This stuff is not going anywhere, and it's considered um, structural, or I can't think of the word right now. We have to be certified with Homeland Security, because it's considered infrastructure. That's the word I'm looking for. Like it's a this is everything. Like your utilities are everything. Go a week without them. Like it's the most important function, one of them, if not the, in this country. So if you're the guy who's installing them and repairing them and maintaining them, and you're the guy certified to do it, and you've got the qualifications and the training, you're pretty valuable. You're pretty valuable. And that's why the money is where the money is. So it attracts some of the best guys, attracts some of the most disciplined guys, the guys that really want to do well for them and their family. And I want that for you. I want that for you. Whoever's on the other end of this camera, I want that for you. And I want that for your kids and for your family. I want to see you develop into the place that's going to change the structure and the um, financial fortitude of your family forever. That's what I want for you, because you're worth it. Anyway, I think I've made this thing go pretty long now. Apologize for that. The Creator bless you. You have a good night, and thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. And I hope I answered the questions that everybody was wanting in those emails. Anyway, have a good night. Thank you.